On that note, Nico, a guy that he has been recruiting very hard, is Carnell Tate, a 5-star wide receiver, according to the on3.com consensus rating, a bona fide 5-star, the number 2 wide receiver in the class of 2023, the number 15 player nationally, the number 4 player from the state of Florida. He has a 51% chance of choosing Tennessee. Nico Iamaleava has been heavy on this dude, trying to recruit him to the Vols. He has visited Tennessee, and they have made the hard sell to him. Now, in this last week, I believe he said on Instagram he will be announcing his commitment soon. We were hoping, admittedly, with the history of the show that we've had, we were hoping that during this recording he would commit. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, but maybe let's knock on some wood back here. We have a few minutes left while we talk about him. And what happened there with Carnell Tate, Zach?
Yeah, I think really nobody. It's between Tennessee and Ohio State pretty much. Notre Dame is kind of lingering there. I think he's originally from the Chicago area and goes to IMG Academy in Florida, where so many players have transferred to. It's kind of like a pre-college experience because you're living in dorms and this and that. But I don't think anybody fully knows, because NIL is going to factor into this pretty heavy. I know nobody wants to really talk about that and think about it, but Tennessee and Ohio State are both going to give Carnell Tate a good NIL deal to go there. So I don't think this comes down to like who's paying the most money, because I think that market's starting to kind of set itself, where we're kind of starting to hear like what players are getting or going to get or expected to get. I think it's going to come down to legitimate recruiting ability. Now, Ohio State's a tough school to beat. I mean, you got Ryan Day up there. He's done some great things at Ohio State. They're usually in the playoff or right on the cusp of the playoff. Tennessee's kind of trying to get to that level, but then you've got a player like Nico who's kind of spearheading this class and really wants Carnell Tate, is close with him. There's other players at IMG that Tennessee's heavily after. I lean towards Tennessee winning this still. I think there's just too many positive things that have been said about Tennessee, the visits he's taken, who he's been surrounded with. It wouldn't shock me if Ohio State wins this battle, because it's recruiting and it's very fluid and can change day to day. I mean, nobody ever really knows what a recruit's going to do. Even when they've told you what they're going to do, they still often do the opposite of that. So I don't think there's any really good, strong predictions that have been made about Tate that are going to be 100% accurate. But my feeling is that it's probably going to be Tennessee. Maybe it's kind of getting closer to decision day, so some doubt creeps in there, because you just, like I said, you just truly never know. But I think Tennessee's going to win this one.
I really hope so, because this is just we talked about Francis Maujoa last week, and Carnell Tate's right in that same group of dudes who are they're an earth mover as far as a commitment, like a guy where other recruits look and they go, all right, they got Nico, they got Carnell Tate, I'm gonna hop in because this is good. This looks really good. Like they're really going somewhere with these guys, and it's just I mean, you can't say enough. Like this would be an invaluable pickup. You do never know with these guys, because there's so many different factors. It could be, I have no idea what his home life is like, but like mom wants him to go to Ohio State, but he really wants to go to Tennessee. Like there's so much stuff that can come into play there down to the last second. But what was it exactly that he posted on Instagram? You posted it on Twitter. And I think, did he say that his decision has been made? Like he's made his mind up and he just needs somebody to make his recruiting video, I think was what he said, right?
Yeah, that's what he said. And he just said like next week or two. So really could be any moment. Like we have no idea when it'll happen.
And the whole like making a commitment video thing is interesting to me. So like he finds somebody to make it, and I've seen like some of these recruiting services will do it so that they can get an exclusive on the commitment. I think the ethics of that is kind of questionable considering what they do. But at the end of the day, it's just college recruiting. I don't think it's that serious. It's not like it's, insider trading or something. But you could question somebody's objectiveness if they were to make a recruiting video for a kid. Nonetheless, it doesn't really matter. But I want, like, who do you go to? Who is making these? Because there's so many different, like, now with the NIL stuff, you've got like some of these collectives are running clear. I think kind of clearly, if you sort of pay attention, they're like running Instagram accounts and they're running Twitter accounts that have access to these kids. They clear like they let the recruits like take over their social media and answer questions on the social media and stuff. So is it going to be like those? Will it literally be like the collective that makes it? I don't know. But somebody, if Tennessee is who he's chosen, get on that quick. With somebody, help him. Get him a video. Somebody, quick.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, in the past, we've seen like the recruiting services do it. We've seen Rivals help out with stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
you see, even if it's not a commitment video, you see all the time, like Rivals or 24/7 Sports will have a pre-taped interview with the kid explaining his decision that obviously had been taped days before.
Yeah.
So it is a strange thing. Like, how do you report on what a kid's going to do without spoiling his moment and still kind of trying to be objective? It is a strange. I think the recruiting reporting world's a strange world anyway that I really would never want any part of. It's a weird kind of grind where we talked about it before, but you got to text 16 and 17-year-olds all day and try to figure out what in the world they're talking about or planning on doing. And often you're going to be wrong, even though they gave you good information. It's not your fault. And then everybody's going to blame you, the reporter, for it. It's a thankless job, it seems like.
It is. I am kind of continuously skeptical of all recruiting reporting because a lot of times it is just for, they get an interview with a kid and he says, "Oh, I liked Tennessee a lot," but he's just kind of saying that for the interview, and
Yeah.
and the recruiting site gets the clicks and that's great, and the kid gets the exposure and that's great, but you kind of take it with a grain of salt and you go like, okay, he's just kind of saying that just to be, you sort of have to be skeptical in that way. But I will say with those analysts, a lot of the time, if you see an analyst prediction, and Carnell Tate does not have any, he has two predictions that were for Ohio State, but they're from like months and months ago. So I wouldn't put any stock in those. I think Tennessee has come on really strong lately with the visits and things with him. But when you see those predictions, like you saw it right before Nico committed, those guys started making predictions, and a decent amount of the time, that's because that kid is like making a commitment video behind the scenes, and like they know that that's the decision that he's made, and they're saying like, here's my prediction, when in reality they know in 2 weeks, like they've pre-written an article and it's already done, and they've done the interview, like you said, like they already kind of know. So it's kind of two things. Like, I'm extremely encouraged when I see a prediction like that, and I'm also skeptical of their reporting a lot of the time because I go like, is this really meaningful as far as how this kid feels? It's a weird world in a strange industry, and God bless the guys that do that as a job, because it couldn't be me.
I think if you're in that world and you do it every day, you probably have a good feel for when a player's being honest or when you can believe a player. Even then, you probably still get burned. But I know personally, I don't dive into that world a whole lot when it comes to talking with recruits and kind of on that beat, I guess you'd say. I don't really do that. But there have been times where I've done it, and I remember I went to Shy Tuttle's commitment whenever he committed to Tennessee. I had a pretty good feeling it was going to be Tennessee, but it wasn't a lock. I thought I might be wasting my time. I wasn't sure. And I remember talking to his high school coach before the commitment, and he told me, yeah, he's going to be at Tennessee next year. And even then, I still watched the ceremony and watched him commit, and there was a small part of me that was like, he could easily put on a different hat and go to Clemson or whoever else it was that was pursuing him at the time. Like, I never believe it until they're signed, until they have signed and they're enrolled. And even now, thanks to the transfer portal, that doesn't even mean anything because you can sign and get right out of your national letter of intent and head elsewhere. So even that's not binding anymore like it used to be. So maybe it's just Tennessee sports that are giving me major trust issues. I don't know.
We just lived through one of those traumatic events. Just another one. Oh, here's the national championship team. Not quite. Oh, Tennessee. We love you, even though you psychologically torture us.
2 conference championships, a 7-5 regular season in football, the number 7 offense in the nation last year, and we still find a way to be cynical. It's stunning. Really.
Always. This is the way for the Tennessee fan.